piece of explosive energy in the history of mankind.
And now, Kmdt presents Geek Blast. Here are your hosts. Mike.
Described as a creepy ass cracker.
Dave.
Let me tell you something. I am God.
Tooms.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
I'm going to be honest. I can't stand any longer. I must get out of here. I must get free.
Losers!
I'm bringing the party to you.
Welcome, KMDT presents
Geek Blast.
Woo. Well, welcome, guys. How are you tonight?
Yes,
Quite
I am
excited.
Tooms.
Quite excited. I
I'm
am tonight.
Mike.
I'm Dave.
We
We got Stinkfist in the corner.
How
Not
you
really
guys
in the
doing?
corner.
Yeah, we got off to a rough start there. Server went down, but we got an exciting show because in about 10 minutes, David Hayter himself is going to be calling in.
Yeah.
And you, the reader, on comicbookmovie.com, will have a chance to call in and ask him a question. And not before we get to our own questions with him.
Yeah, because we got some questions.
Definitely
I got
do.
some questions anyway.
And for those of you who don't know who David Hayter is, he is sort of a legend in the nerd community. He's most famous for voicing Snake in Metal Gear Solid. But he's also the writer of X-Men 1, X-Men 2.
Well, he was part writer of X-Men 2, right?
Yeah, part writer. Also
he adapted Watchmen.
Also adapted Watchmen. And he was also my favorite superhero, Guyver, in Guyver 2.
Guyver 2.
He's also working on some new stuff, such as his movie Wolves, which is coming out 2014. I
Which
think he's
looks
done
cool.
filming already.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Can't wait to ask him about that. Also,
Yeah, it's really hard to find a good werewolf movie.
it is, and this one's looking up to it's shaping up
Upping
to,
up to your
something special,
standards.
So, yeah.
Jared's a big fan of wolves.
I like wolves. Fuzzy.
Fuzzy.
Hey, well, we got a few minutes though before he calls in. So
yeah.
Tooms, you want to give us just like a quick review of GTA 5? I mean, because that is a normal thing we do on this show.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, I guess I've been playing it for the last week. You know what I mean, or since Tuesday. So far, pretty good. I couldn't get into 4. I didn't like the characters. Didn't like the story. I mean, the meat and bones were there. You know what I mean?
Of course, it's GTA.
Yeah. I mean, it was all. I just didn't like the character. In the way that the.
See, I have the opposite opinion. I love.
It killed it for me. I
love
didn't like Nico Bellic.
I loved 4, Nico Bellic,
And his
crazy entourage of crazy cousins.
Oh, I
and-
hated them, man.
How many more did they have after 4? It was like
Well, they had the
like
2
those
down
ones, right? No, there was 2 other ones that came out on like
Yeah, the
portable
downloads.
ones?
Yeah,
Well, I never played any of them,
they were like crossovers, I think.
but I know that they did.
They had like Liberty City Stories and
Right.
something else. I don't.
They also did the 2 downloads, which was the Lost in the Damned and the Ballad of Gay Tony.
Yeah, which
Right.
Which
never
I
played
downloaded.
because I thought it was just revolving around homo.
No,
type
no,
erotica.
no. Well,
Not what I
the
was
Gay
thinking.
Tony thing a little bit, but not really though either. But you
I
gotta think
wouldn't know. I
it's,
never played it.
But Tooms, what did you think?
I
What
loved
did you
it.
think of GTA 5?
So far, so good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beefy game. It's a big game. I'll give it a proper review next week when we have more time. But
and then
so
I'll be
far
able to
from what
chime
I
in,
played,
'cause-
the introduction of actually playing with 3 characters is quite refreshing. You know what I mean? Because you could jump from character to character and use their different attributes. You know what I mean? Say you got one character holding his gun on a group of hostages, and then you could jump to another character and actually take care of the
Like rob their
hit
pockets?
the vault, or
Nice.
So
That's
you could
pretty
do-
cool.
You could do multitasking.
So it's like,
Yeah.
And I heard there was a lock-on feature, right? You can actually lock on anybody.
The aiming system is so much nicer.
oh,
This
so they
one.
improved
You could-
it then.
You could
Yeah.
lock on.
'Cause that was
just-
always
just a
the
little
one thing
tap
for
of the
me that
analog.
bothered me.
Just a little tap of the analog up, and you're right on that headshot.
Nice.
Easy headshots.
Well, Tooms, did you hear about the 3 guys in New York this week that really wanted the cop?
I did hear a little something about that.
They
Why don't you tell me?
they dressed as police officers. They even used an unmarked squad car to jump the line just to get GTA 5.
That's pretty sad. Amusing, but sad.
That's dedication.
yeah.
It is.
I,
It is.
I, not that I applaud, dressing up
Criminal
like
acts.
police and falsifying documentations and all that other stuff. But you got to. That's dedication, right
It is.
there.
It is.
I have a shout out for them 2 guys. You guys are gamers. Word up.
Yeah, for real, man. You like your games, man. You know
You
what?
like to
And,
Crazy,
play your
but-
games, yeah.
last week when I was talking about the budget of $265 million, I've been walking in these stores just cleaned out shells, man. So I know.
What, 800 million the first day.
800 million.
Yep.
That's
And
unreal,
you said
man.
that, right?
That's got to be some kind of record.
Last week you had said that this is the most expensive game
ever made. Yeah, it
pretty
is.
much,
Period.
right?
Period. The
Wow.
only thing that came close was Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, which
which was 200 and I think
killer
10 or
game.
something like that.
Killer.
Yeah.
First one's better than the second one, obviously, because that's usually the way Star Wars things work.
But you know what this is saying? If you could put that much money into a video game and it will make that much money, it's promising. You know, it's going to make some of these companies take more of a risk and put more effort and money into their games, I think.
Yeah, at the same time.
'Cause they're showing that you could have that big of a budget and still make a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, which...
If you establish yourself as a franchise in the
True.
beginning. Because, I mean...
But regardless,
think about,
if you have a very good AAA game... It's going to get noticed regardless.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
That's how video
100%.
games are. With a movie, it might kind of slide past you, but video games, if you got a good game, it will get noticed.
And I can't think of any video game like
great video game that wasn't noticed.
Well, yeah, that wasn't noticed, but that was like an original property. But most video games that are based on movies, really
don't do too well.
They don't really do
They're
very
rushed
well.
very quickly. You know what I
to
mean?
make money,
Because-
they got to capitalize on the window of the window frame
Yeah.
of the movie in itself.
And-
Yeah.
Well, they're also not given a proper amount of time before the actual movie's released. They're like, okay, you got 5 months. Thor's coming out. Make a game. Not Thor. That's a bad one actually, because Thor I don't think had a video game. But
No, he did.
No,
he
he
did.
did.
Thor-
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Avengers didn't have a video game.
No,
absolutely.
But they
That-
but
came out
actually
with one
they
for that,
did
didn't
make what? There's like a weird Facebook game for all that.
Yeah,
weird
but
other
that's
games.
not what people were looking for. People were looking for a console game.
It must be
Believe
really
me.
horrible.
I'm waiting for Marvel to make a kick-ass game that's
Yeah.
just, I mean, that's one thing that I can say that, like, in my whole DC Marvel thing, that DC does well.
Yeah.
They make good
well,
games.
again, I mean, we've already had this conversation, but Spider-Man 2 on PS2
That was
Yeah.
a long
That's the
time
only
ago, though,
one.
man.
that
But
was a
think about
great
that.
game.
That was a long time ago. Shattered Dimensions wasn't bad either. That we were.
But that's not movie-based, though.
No,
That
but
was
I mean,
true.
I'm
But
just
it's a
saying,
Marvel game,
like,
you know?
But Batman Arkham Asylum isn't movie-based either, and
that's a great
that's
game.
a really, really great game.
But Marvel hasn't really put anything out that's just friggin' 100%.
Yeah,
wow. You
that
know
they
what I mean?
could, and they could.
They
Oh,
could.
they have
yeah,
the money.
absolutely.
They have the resources. Why
Well,
not?
now that Disney owns them, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
I've been
forget
looking
it.
on.
They just need to tie themselves into the proper companies.
Yeah.
You know?
I've been looking online, and I'm seeing all these like crazy photos, especially on the Jedi Knight Academy.
Oh,
Facebook
what a great
page.
site! Yeah, what a great
They,
site that
Danny
is.
there's
is
like-
my hero.
Yeah,
Danny
they
is
have
my
they have
hero.
pictures of like Mickey Mouse, or no, Spider-Man handing Darth Vader
Cash.
mouse hat. Yeah, welcome to the club.
Oh.
The mouse hat.
That's
hilarious stuff.
All right, so you guys got all your questions ready for Mr. Hayter?
Yeah, I
I
do.
think
You
so,
do?
man.
I pretty much. Yeah.
All right.
You're gonna grill him about Guyver, right?
Oh, Guyver's going to be mine. That's
That's all you, buddy.
yeah, that's all me.
Because I mean, I honestly can say I've never seen the second one.
You've got to see this.
I've
The,
seen
the first one was horrible.
Well, but see, I like that horrible type of movie. Like I said,
With-
Sharknado to me was a decent flick, even though Tara Reid was in it.
Yeah, but it's I mean, it's disappointing to me when I first saw Guyver. I didn't know it was the anime.
Right, and my first introduction to the Guyver series was through the anime, and then I realized, oh, they came out with a movie, and I saw the first movie, and I was like, eh, and then I didn't even know they came out with the second.
Oh, the second one was so much better. And they tried to make it.
Like, try to make it better.
They tried to make it like no, it was darker. The gore, it was gore.
Okay.
It had fight choreography. When I was 14, I'd never seen anything like that. I didn't watch kung fu movies, you know.
Okay.
So,
I was.
Yeah, I was never really into him either. But I know, I know
but
David,
the
you
fight
are.
choreography in the movie was great. I mean, sometimes it got a little ridiculous, but the only thing that I've ever seen, after the closest thing I saw after that was Matrix.
The Matrix. Okay.
You know?
So it's on par, like cinematically and visually.
No.
with that type of
It's
style,
just
or
that it's
the
that
fighting?
that fast action.
Okay.
And they made it a lot grittier.
Okay. Well, I definitely
And
will have to check
it was
that out.
definitely I mean, yes, the acting at some points was definitely hammy, and they had some B level actors, but
Which,
the story
to me,
was
that doesn't
the
bother
story
me
was
at all.
great.
Yeah.
Like
B-level actors are cool.
Stonehenge Apocalypse was another great, like, super dumb movie, but it was acted horribly. But the concept of the movie, what a great concept! You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm big on that. I can't. And next week is prime time. Everybody, right? I mean, television starts
Yeah,
all
pretty
over
much.
again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
going.
Can't wait.
You got
Going
Agents
off.
of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming out.
Yeah.
Agents of
Phew.
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
SOS.
Can't wait for that one out. There's like
And
all
I
these
heard-
pics out about it and stuff
And I've
like
heard
that.
there's going to be cameos of Avengers in the show.
That's
and
what
that,
I heard,
and
too,
that
but-
and that Samuel Jackson wasn't not asked to be in it. They were just there's going to be cameos. There's no reason for you to be a major part of the show.
Yeah.
And by the way, just to clarify something, because I know that out of the four of us, I'm the one who reads comics on a regular basis.
Yes.
You're probably the only one, sir.
The one thing
I
that
love them
I
and I
wanted to
respect
explain
them,
to you
but,
guys is that everybody's talking about Coulson and that Coulson died in the movie. Right?
Yeah, right.
What you have to understand about comics, and most people that read comics, is we already know that there's this thing called a life decoy in Marvel, especially dealing in the S.H.I.E.L.D. part of Marvel.
Yeah, because they're like co-op.
Well, no, like
I'm
Black
sorry.
Op,
Black
yeah,
Op,
not
I meant,
co-op.
yeah, co-op.
You dingbat. But no, a life decoy is basically like a like part android, perfect copy of this individual that basically can go and do whatever that individual would do because it's programmed to do that. Or actually,
So you don't think that's the actual Coulson?
that died in the movie. No, that's how they
That
could
was his
spin it.
decoy.
Right, that could.
Are
have
they
been
going to
it.
explain that in S.H.I.E.L.D.?
They might.
Who
I
knows?
don't necessarily know that they won't, but they very well could because it does have a big part of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they may not even do it directly because the thing that I know most is Nick Fury's the one that has all the life decoys. Obviously, he's the
Right.
dude that runs S.H.I.E.L.D. So
Right.
I've read so many books where he dies and everybody's like, oh my god, and he's like back a week later and they're like, oh, it was a life decoy.
How are they going to, S.H.I.E.L.D. is Nick Fury. So how are they going to do this show without Nick Fury?
See, that's the thing. S.H.I.E.L.D. now isn't just about Nick Fury. It was when it started,
Right.
because that was like he got his own book by having S.H.I.E.L.D. or being a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that whole part of the Marvel Universe.
So this isn't going to be like an origin story. It's going
I
to start
don't-
right in the middle. We're S.H.I.E.L.D. and this
I
is what
don't
we
think.
do.
Well, basically, yeah, it's going to
Supposed
start.
take place
It's
in between one and Avengers 1 and 2, right?
right,
Really?
exactly. It's going to be
it's
kind of
gonna be that
portrayed
bridge.
as a filler,
Okay.
like
All right.
as a gap filler between
Who knows, it might
Avengers
take off
1 and
after
Avengers
the
2.
movie comes
Well,
out,
I
too.
mean, they already are planning. I'm pretty sure they're going to go for a second season. I mean, the fact that Disney owns Marvel, they can pretty much put them wherever they want to on television.
Yeah.
All they can do is
Yeah.
just grease the right palm, and they're in there, whether it's good or not. You know what I mean? Like
It looks pretty good. though.
Blade may come back with
Yeah,
sticky
Blade.
fingers. Like
Really?
I don't know. I'm just saying. Like,
I was about to say,
I'm just
man,
saying
I
now
didn't
that,
think so.
now that Disney owns them, that's not out of the possibility of things in my
not out of
mind
the
like that
realm.
could happen.
Man.
I would love to see like a Namor television show. I
not Namor.
I don't think because I think the whole Atlantis thing is a cool concept.
Atlantis is,
Atlantis
a
is
good
cool.
concept, but
Namor isn't. I don't. I mean, that's my opinion.
I don't know,
wings
man.
on his feet.
So what?
And he wears a speedo, man, a green speedo.
He's in the water, dude. It's gonna be like rocking
Why
a pair
can't
of
he wear-
jeans and a pair of boots on the
Yeah.
water. Like
Yeah,
what?
man.
He's gonna be a big soggy mess.
You should
Like,
come
think
equipped
about
with
it.
slick shoes.
Slick
Slick
shoes.
Are you crazy?
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I just think that the show's going to be awesome. I can't wait for other shows to start as well. I mean, with the season starting, my mind automatically goes to October. Like,
Why?
Just Walking Dead.
Yeah, Walking Dead is coming out. Did
Does
you
it-
see the
Oh, man.
picture
Walking
of,
Dead?
of the
Dude,
chick Maggie?
I know.
And we
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Hayter. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, sir?
Good. Pleasure to talk to you, man.
Yeah.
Lord Hader, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thanks. Who have I got, and where am I calling, and what the hell's going on?
This is Geek Blast, man. I'm Toombs.
I'm Dave.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Stinkfist behind the curtain, but you can call me Brendan. Yeah, you're
Soon, Dave, Mike, and Brenda.
Brendan,
Toombs,
correct.
And I'm Toombs.
Tombs?
Yeah,
Like where you keep the dead folks?
Yeah, you got it, brother.
All right, fantastic. Well, nice to meet you all. And where are you located?
We're Jersey,
We're in
man.
New Jersey,
we're in New Jersey.
and you're also broadcasting on at the top of comicbookmovie.com right now.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Well, hello to all your listeners.
Yes.
So how's LA right now, man?
It's good. It's a little cool. It's 70 degrees. Beautiful day. Fairly standard.
Nice.
Cool, man.
It was 80 degrees here in Jersey today.
Yeah, it was hot and muggy.
a hot one.
It was bad.
Oh, yeah. It's been a hot fall, eh?
All right, Dave. Let's get right into it, and I'm gonna talk about my little
His pet peeve.
my childhood hero was Guyver 2.
Yeah, well, me too.
And I just want to know right now, why was there never a third one?
You know, I literally just was at a party with Steve Wang, who directed that film, a month ago, and we were talking about it. And the reason there was never another one was because the rights were all tied up. Like, it was a big mess. Like, everybody had to sue each other, all these different people who were involved in the whole thing. And they never cleared up the rights. But, you know, I was just talking to Steve, and he seemed to imply that may have been worked out now, and that he had a discussion about a potential other Guyver movie. And I said, well, look, I don't know if you want to go with me as Grandpa Guyver, but I'd certainly be willing to step back into his foam rubber shoes. And so you know, don't give up hope yet.
No, I'm not. But now would be the perfect time to bring that back.
Yeah, it would.
I mean, there is so much interest, you know, in the superhero anime, field.
Yeah.
Genre. Yes, I would agree with that.
Now, I got to ask you, man. I'm hearing a lot about the sword. Are you on board for that?
Oh yeah, I literally just came from a meeting with the studio talking about the sword an hour ago.
And that's a great book too. Pretty
badass.
Yeah. Do you read books on a regular basis?
I try to be as literate as I possibly can,
I mean comic books. I'm sorry. Let me clarify.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean by literacy. That's ideal literacy as far as I'm concerned.
Now, is it more for research, or is it actually because you enjoy some of it?
Well, both. I mean, because of the movies that I've written, I get sent a ton of graphic novels to potentially adapt.
Oh, I envy you, man. I envy you. That is awesome.
Yeah, so obviously I don't sign on to all of them, but I read all of them, and so I get to see some really cool projects and pieces that are out there that I might not otherwise find, and I still buy graphic novels for myself. You know, every now and again I go down to the comic book store and I ask what's the greatest book I've never read, and then they'll pick something out for me.
What are you reading currently?
Well, currently, I'm reading a bunch of things. I had spoken briefly with a movie studio about doing Conan, so I started reading. I ended up not doing the movie, but I started reading the short stories, and they're incredible. You know, the writing is just amazing.
You mean the original short stories, correct?
The original short stories by
Robert K.
Robert. I'm sorry, what's his name? Robert what?
Robert Howard.
Robert Howard. That's right. Yeah, Robert E. Howard. They are incredible and so beautifully written and just kick ass all the way across the board. I'm almost constantly reading Lone Wolf and Cub. You know, it's 28 volumes, so once I get to the end, I usually just start again.
Start over, yeah.
Right.
Why wouldn't you?
I think we got a caller here.
Yeah,
Dave,
do you mind taking a caller from one of your fans?
No, not at all. Cool. I'm there for it.
Here we go.
You're on Kmdt Geek Blast with David Hayter. What's your question?
Hey, I was just curious because you worked with Zack Snyder and I'm sorry, I'm forgetting Bryan Singer's, and I was just wondering what you think of more current stuff like Superman Returns, some of Zack's Man of Steel, and those kind of movies.
Across the board. Yeah. Well, I thought, I liked. Well, first of all, Zack is one of the nicest people I know, and I like him immensely, and he's an enormously talented filmmaker. I really liked Henry Cavill. I didn't know what to expect there, and I thought he really made a great Superman. I thought the movie was beautiful and epic, but it was a little cold for me. I think. I'm still attached to the Superman movies that came out when I was a kid, the Richard Donner movies, and I don't know. There's more a sense of joy there, and plus, Christopher Reeve as Superman and Clark Kent is almost impossible to top. So, the short answer is I liked the movie. It didn't, let me down like other films have. But
I hear you there, man.
But it could be a little livelier, I think, in the next go round.
We can only hope. Yeah.
All right, you got another question for him?
Yes. If you are ever in contact with Zack Snyder, can you tell him big Batman fan said hello?
Yeah, I will definitely. I'll call him right after this.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling in.
So, Dave, going back to the sword for a second, just so people, because a lot of people don't know, about the sword, and I really didn't know much about it until I really started to, dig into it, and it sounds so cool. Now, it's a fantasy about a young woman, I think named, was it Dara Brighton?
Dara Brighton, yep.
And she's going up against some sort of threesome or with powers. Now, is it hardcore or softcore, this threesome? No, I'm just kidding.
In what sense?
Is it hardcore or is it Cinemax late night, basically? Yeah.
It's well, like the book is pretty hardcore.
Right. See, I don't know about if it's gore fest or if it's
No, it's pretty.
Yeah. Well, in the book, she at one point she punches this guy and she punches his jaw off. I think she gets her jaw torn off. Like the sword allows her to heal. So, there's a number of places where she gets her legs chopped off and then she puts them back on. Like
I heard
in the
about
book,
that. I heard about that. She could take her basic appendages and stick them back on, right?
Yeah, well, in the book what happens is she gets her legs cut off below the knees and her stumps immediately begin to heal over. So she has to pull the skin off of the bottom of her knees to reattach her legs.
That's original as hell, man. That really is original.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I don't know that they're going to let me make the movie R-rated. It's a tough thing when you're dealing with a movie that's aimed at. I mean, the lead character is 19 years old, so the studios get very, very nervous about doing a full-on R-rated movie. So I think while I'll try to make it as hard a picture as I can. It's really more about getting a great actress, creating an amazing cinematic story, and I mean basically. To me, the way I'm taking this on, I basically look at it as a modern-day samurai story.
Right.
Yeah, and that's kind of how, I read the book.
This girl gets this sword and goes on a quest for bloody revenge and is forged by the experience,
Now, her family was murdered because of the sword, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's in the beginning. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but...
So any
but
idea...
it turns out her dad has been hiding this sword for 4,000 years, and its original owners come back to get it, and violence ensues.
Awesome.
Of course, yeah.
Now, Dave, I got a question for you. I mean, you are a true comic book fan. So when you were writing X-Men 2, and you were the one that introduced the Phoenix into that franchise.
Correct.
Were you a little upset because Fox had limited the X-Men universe to just mutations that you really couldn't stay true to the source and introduce the Phoenix as the cosmic source, as a cosmic power
entity?
Yeah, cosmic.
Well, no, not really. I feel like I love that in the Claremont books, but I feel like when you're doing a movie, my rule is always you get one bit of magic that the audience will accept. And in Star Wars, it's the Force. In Lord of the Rings, it's the ring. All magic comes from the ring. And in X-Men, it's mutation. The mutation allows you to do anything.
Yeah, it does.
So you've already got this character, Professor X, who has this enormous psychic power. So and we've suggested in the first film that Jean doesn't have the same level of control as Professor X. So I think it makes sense to here's what I did. If you go back and watch the first X-Men movie, the Magneto's machine goes off. It's supposed to enhance mutant powers or turn people into mutants. It doesn't affect any of the X-Men except it passes over Jean, and there's one moment that I begged Brian to put in, which is in there, where the light dies away and she sort of looks down at her hands and she's realizing something's changed. And so my intention was to reveal in the third movie that that's where her brain was altered and she started to become Phoenix.
Oh,
so
cool.
But then that got hijacked from you.
Of course.
Then it got hijacked and they turned it into, I don't know what they turned her into, some sort of vampire.
An after-school special, basically.
Yeah, she had dark black eyes and skin problems or something. I don't know how that's Phoenix, but whatever.
Wasn't good.
I was wondering, like, what is your favorite work that you've done yourself?
What are you most proud of?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I love them all. I mean, the fact that I get to do all these things for a living is
badass. Badass.
Beyond a dream. I mean, it's ridiculous. My job is really, really fun. So, I mean, I'm very proud of Snake. The whole Metal Gear. 15 years of Metal Gear. I'm very proud of that whole.
We're very proud of it too.
Yeah.
You
brought it up, not us.
Yeah, you brought it up, not us.
Oh yeah. Listen. I know my office is like, oh, be careful about bringing up Snake. You can bring up anything. If there's something I can't comment on, I'll just say. But no, I love Snake.
Snake is awesome.
I mean, I've played.
He's
every
pretty
Metal
awesome,
Gear, man.
And I don't know. I'm proud of Guyver. I'm proud of the freaking Death Star I did on Major Dad with a Russian accent.
You're also.
I mean, there are things I look at.
I'm
proud of X-Men, but I watch it again, and there's things where I'm like, oh, I'm embarrassed that I did that, this or that. It's always like.
Yeah, but
isn't
every great artist anal about their own works? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
it's just a given. It's a given,
Yeah, Toombs is just looking for validation there.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well,
Indeed.
I want to know how amazing it was for you to adapt Watchmen, because I mean, until you did like how there was nothing that was ever really came off the ground, and then when that movie came out, I got to tell you, I was blown away. I really was, and I love that book. And I don't know what Alan Moore is seeing that I didn't, because he's crazy.
Oh no! Well, I'll tell you, he's not seeing anything because he refuses to watch the movie.
Oh well, he doesn't know what he's missing.
He doesn't. It's not. Well, I agree. I mean, I said to Dave Gibbons, I was like, my secret dream is that Alan is sleeping on the couch, wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning, puts on the TV, and it's there, and he just can't help himself.
And he doesn't know what he's watching until the end.
No, he'll know.
Oh, he'll know right away.
I just hope he sticks with it, and Alan was extremely nice to me and very supportive of me. He just doesn't like Hollywood, which I don't blame him for that.
Yeah,
he doesn't like to see his work turned into something else, and I understand that. But we, Zach and myself and the producers, everybody did it out of sheer love for the book.
Yeah, and you can tell. And
I think that shows. I mean,
100%. I'm a huge fan of the book, and I saw that from the minute the movie started. I mean, it's all done with love and honor, and that's one of the greatest pieces of writing in history, as far as I'm concerned. And so that was a really cool project. But I mean, it was almost 10 years from the time I signed the deal to the time the movie came out. I mean, I went around the world twice with it. I was at 4 different studios, 4 different directors. I mean, it was an epic.
Epic is a nicer word. Yeah.
It was a good nightmare, but it was worth it in the end, in my opinion.
Let me ask you about your relationship with Bryan Singer and X-Men: Days of Future Past coming out, and because you and Bryan Singer are very close, were you asked at least to write on X-Men: Days of Future Past?
I was not. Bryan and I, we produced a little movie together called Burn that I was in, and then we did X-Men, and then we did X-Men 2. That was 10 years working together, and I think we got a little tired of each other, and we had a bit of a falling out after X-Men 2, which, we have since patched up, but he was there on X-Men First Class and was a producer on that, and I just think there was a new group of people working on it, so it just didn't come up. I did send an email to Bryan saying, look, that's one of my favorite X-Men stories of all time.
Mine too.
If there's anything I can do, or if you ever want me to take a look at anything, I'd be honored, but it didn't happen.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you guys seem like you're passionate up because I was reading, I was looking through your Twitter account today, and you were shouting out, happy birthday, and you were encouraging people to go to them.
Yeah, I owe my career, my house, my level of recognition to Bryan Singer. So, friends get touchy with each other now and again. They get mad at each other, but I would never be anything but supportive of Bryan, particularly in public. I owe him everything.
So, Dave, have you pretty much wrapped up on your new project, Wolves?
Yeah, it's all wrapped up. We're just showing it to U.S. buyers right now, and because people keep asking me when it's coming out, we sold it basically all around the world, but the U.S. is last.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, so they will. Whoever buys it for the U.S. will decide when it comes out. So I'm hoping, spring of next year. But the movie is done and it, kicks ass, and that was a huge amount of fun.
How did you come up with the idea?
I was offered a different werewolf adaptation, which was not good, and as so many of them are, not good.
Yeah,
and
I know, man. There's a slew of them. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very tough genre to pull off, and so, I said, well, look, I said to the producers, I don't want to do that story because I don't like it, but I had mentioned to a bunch of friends that they were talking about a werewolf film, and everybody said, oh, I'd love to see a good werewolf film, so I thought there was something compelling left in that genre, and so I said, let me make up, let me see if I can come up with a story on my own that you guys like, so I did. And they did, and then it was just a brief 5-6 years later we got it done.
Cool. Now you're working with you worked with the same special effects team as the Wolfman, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
that was a brilliant wolf movie. You know what I mean? We were talking about how there's a lot of bad ones, a lot of good ones. That's probably one of the few good ones that have come out in the last 10 years. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and their work is amazing. So to have them on my much smaller film was amazing.
I heard about a rather interesting sex scene where two characters go from human to full-on wolf. That sounds pretty interesting.
It's cinematic history. Right?
It is. It's never been done before. Was it a big challenge?
Yeah, it took 3 days to shoot just that scene. We had to shoot it in 3 different pieces. So there's the 2 kids making out. That took a day. Then there was 2 naked kids really getting down, and then there was the transformation, and then the 3rd day was full wolf. That's romping.
That's going to be very interesting.
It's
to see,
original
I
as
gotta
hell,
tell you.
man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that because, like we said before, I love werewolf movies, but good ones are so rare.
Yes,
really,
100% rare.
Now,
it's true.
Yeah, now, tell us also a little bit. You've also got another movie coming out. I don't remember if you started it. I think you did, called The Devil's Mile.
Yes. Yeah, that's my... those are some friends of mine. Like a very good friend of mine from high school became a pretty wealthy computer software guy. And then he wanted to get into movies, and so he decided to produce his own low-budget, micro-budget horror film with another friend of mine, a writer-director friend of mine. And they had this character, Toby, who it's about, gangsters, and they're kidnapping these 2 Japanese girls, and then they run into supernatural horrors and have to deal with it. And they had this character, Toby, who is a mafia killer psychopath, and they were talking about it, and they said, we need somebody, who's just intense and can be frightening, like that look Dave gets on his face when they mess up his drink order or something. And
that would be a face that Dave here would put on.
Yeah, right. And so they said, well, what about David Hayter? And so they called me and asked me if I would do it, and I was like, sure. So I flew myself up and did a week's worth of shooting on that. So that one is finished now and should also probably be out at the same time as Wolves. Hopefully.
Oh, so that was not part of your Dark Hero studio. That wasn't a Dark Hero studio production. Okay, I thought it was.
No, no. I just got hired as an actor on that.
Oh, okay. Now I want to ask you about Dark Hero studio productions, not just because it's Dark Hero and it probably has a Guyver reference in it, but also,
totally, yeah.
But because you worked on so many of the comic book movies that sort of kicked off the comic book revolution, and I just want to know, were you frustrated while writing those movies? Were you maybe weren't allowed to do things that you wanted to do in the script, and that was the impetus for starting your own production company?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, yeah, the creative process, especially on a very expensive movie, is always frustrating because you've got so many people, there's so much money involved, the producers are pulling you one way, the executives are pulling the other way, the director's going another way.
Giant power struggle, pretty much.
Sorry?
Giant power struggle, pretty much, right?
Yeah, power struggle. Well, it's really more insecurity. Like you say, well, there's this girl Rogue, and when she kisses boys, it puts them into a coma. Well, you've got 5 business people that have to wrap their heads around that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And that can be difficult. But, Dark Hero, the whole course of my career, as I think most filmmakers follow, is trying to gain more and more control as you go. That's why I've gone into directing. That's why I've gone into producing. And that's what the company was formed for, so that I would have a film production entity that I could attach to the film, take some production/ownership piece of it, and that would allow me more control and ideally more money in the long run.
All right, good. Are you willing to take another call here, David?
Of course.
All right, you're on Kmdt Geek Blast with David Hayter.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello.
Wait, is that David?
Yes, you're talking to David Hayter.
What's your question?
You should lower your radio in the background too.
We're gonna start doing Jeopardy in about 5 seconds.
All right, well, just give him a second, David. He's obviously struggling.
How long did it take you to make X-Men 2?
X-Men 2 took, it didn't take too long because the first movie was already a hit, so usually they move pretty quickly. So I think it took, I worked on the script for about a year, and then they went and started shooting. So the whole process was probably a year and 8 months or so. So it's pretty very, very quick. Probably the quickest I've ever seen a movie get turned around.
Great. Do you have another question?
You got another question for him?
No.
Okay, thanks for the call.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling, buddy.
Well, nice meeting you.
It's good. It's good to know that that you transcend age demographics here, Dave.
It is. I mean, the breadth of the people that enjoy the stuff I do is incredible. I mean, it's just kids to people in their 70s. I mean, it's really very satisfying.
There's no age limit to fanboys, I think.
No, not anymore.
Everybody's got a little geek in them,
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not,
same has dropped away.
Sorry, go ahead, Dave. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, that's all right. I was just saying the same has sort of disappeared as Comic-Con's gotten bigger.
Yeah. That's very true.
Will you be there in the New York Comic-Con?
Ideally not. I was there last Comic-Con to show some sneak peeks from Wolves, and that was great. But it's too many people. I don't want to be around 135,000 people, and it just gets a little overwhelming and freaky.
That could be a bit hectic too. Yeah.
And not to mention when you walk in, there's an oppressive barrier of just body odor threatening to keep you out.
There's a lot of body odor, and I never know. And people are always staring at me, or they come up to talk, which is fine. But it's more like work for me. Like I kind of wish, like I love Bryan Cranston walking through the floor with his Bryan Cranston mask on.
Yeah, that was hysterical.
Yeah, so he wouldn't be hassled because I like to go and I like to look at the comics and buy stuff, but it really becomes like work and it's a little oppressive.
All right, so let me get back. Let me get back to Dark Hero production company. Here is the fact that you have your own company now. Does it limit you in what opportunities you and what movies you can work on?
No, not at all. I mean, if a like for example, Universal just called me the other day about a big movie, which I don't know. Well, A, I don't know if I'm going to do it, and B, I don't know that they would want Dark Hero attached. Sometimes there's just there's too many producers already, or there's too many, whatever. So I'm still hireable as an independent contractor,
Okay.
But
You're just not available.
but things I develop from the ground up are Dark Hero entities.
Okay. All right.
Like I just had dinner with Charlize Theron not too long ago, who's an old friend, and she has her own production company, and some things she produces that she's in, some things she produces that she's not in, and some things she just acts in without her company being involved at all, and that's kind of how it works.
Okay. Well, I'm surprised that we're not getting a lot more calls calling about the Metal Gear thing. So if you don't mind, can we get into that a little bit?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
So,
I mean, you've been with me for, like over 15 years in those Metal Gear games, so I'm kind of upset to see that the next release, what happened, man, like overall?
I hear you. I feel your pain.
It is, man.
What happened? Well, you're gonna have to ask Kojima that. They decided to go in a new direction, and so that's what they're doing.
It's a mistake. It's a mistake.
It's saddening.
It is. It really is.
Now,
yeah, well,
you are a Snake, man.
Too. I mean, I love doing Snake. The funny thing is every time it comes up to do another game, I'm always working on like 2 scripts at once, and I just don't have the time to do it, and it's always sort of a pain to work that out schedule-wise. But then I get in the booth, and all those people are so great, and the character's so great, and I do love it. So I'm sad to see it go.
Some of my favorite voice stuff that you've done, though, is that you were the Captain America in the 90s Spider-Man, which are some of my favorite episodes of that show.
Great episodes.
Yeah. And then you also did the voice of Captain America in the X-Men Evolution show, if I'm not mistaken, too, right?
I guess I did because I see it on my IMDb, but I think
you don't remember doing it.
I think they just lifted my voice from the Spider-Man show and put it in there. Like I never went down to X-Men and recorded anything.
Is that legal? I mean, I guess.
Nah, it's just like it's the Wikipedia syndrome. IMDb suffers from it too sometimes.
Yeah. False.
Yeah, I mean, it may not be true at all. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, David Hayter did." I mean, IMDb currently lists me as Big Boss in Metal Gear 5.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
And people keep asking me about it, and I'm like, "Yeah, well, nobody's called me and or scheduled the recording time or anything, so I don't think it's true." But then nobody believes me. They're like, "Oh, you're trolling us," and I'm like, "I'm not trolling anybody."
Now, if
I had to find out what trolling meant.
Now, if I'm correct, you started basically with Solid Snake, right? When the PlayStation version, that's basically when you started the voice acting for Snake, right?
That's right. Yeah, 1998.
It just fits so well,
All right,
I know.
Dave, you got another call. Are you still willing to take these?
Yeah. You don't need to check with me. I'm pretty easy going.
Cool. He's cool.
Okay. All right. You're on KMTD Geek Blast. What's your question for David Hayter? Okay.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello.
you're on.
Hello.
I'm calling from Russia.
Okay.
Welcome to America.
Доброе.
Добрый вечер.
I'm such a big fan of Guyver 2, Dark Hero, and my brother as well. I always was surprised why there's no another Guyvers, or what happened.
Well, спасибо. As I told the guys a little earlier, it was really just, many different people owned the rights to those movies, and they couldn't work out a legal deal to make another one. However, they may have worked it out at this point, so we still might get a Guyver 3.
I like too. And I have another question about Metal Gear Solid movie adaptation.
Sure.
What
about
how the process?
I don't know much about it.
Yeah, with all these video game adaptations, I always feel like they never gonna make it. Like Assassin's Creed or Splinter Cell, they always feel like they will in development hell forever.
For eternity.
Yes.
That's what they try to do.
Yeah. Well, Metal Gear is very hard. I mean, I pitched some ideas from the Metal Gear movie. Wow. 6 years ago, I think, and that deal never came together. It's a very complex thing to put together, and Metal Gear, though it's very cinematic, tells its stories in a very different way from your standard blockbuster movie. So I think there's going to be a lot of creative wrangling before everybody agrees on what the movie should be. But I'm not really involved in it, so I don't know what stage they're at right now.
Only time will tell.
All right, you have another question for him?
Yeah, I have a lot. Actually, I'm geeking out really much. I'm shaking.
That's what we're here for, man.
I will take a breath.
Yeah.
Don't pass out, because then you won't get your other question. All right, go for it.
Go on, Geek, man.
We have Black Widow script. What happened? You were supposed to direct it.
Yes, that was really a shame. The Black Widow script actually took place. The last half of it, well, a lot of it took place in Russia.
Wow.
And set a lot of it in Kazakhstan, and she traveled through Russia, and obviously she's Russian. That was I was really proud of that script. It's out on the internet somewhere. You can look it up. And I was attached to direct it, and we were in talks with a studio that was going to make the movie, and I think it was in one weekend, like Eon Flux came out, and then Ultraviolet came out, and Blood Rain came out, and they all...
Bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like the unholy trinity.
Yeah, it was like filmic terrorism or something, and it essentially blew up my... after Eon Flux came out that Monday, we were dead.
Yeah. So it would have been like in the first wave of Marvel movies then, if it was produced.
Yes, it would have been somewhere around the same time as X-Men 2, or maybe after, or right after.
Yeah.
So 2002, 2003.
No, but I think what Dave was asking was that going to be sanctioned by Marvel Studios, or was it in another studio?
It was. Well, Marvel wasn't paying for their own movies at that point yet.
Yeah.
So it was with another studio, but it was with Marvel. It was with Kevin Feige and Avi Arad, and it was going to be, like a mid-budget movie for them. So between 40 and 60 million, and then one other thing they told me at the time, Kevin Feige told me, was, they were like, we're kind of thinking that we want to establish more big tentpole movies before we start doing the smaller films, and so I think they were kind of glad to get out of it. Strangely enough, and really, Avi Arad told me, he's like, "Yes, David, we were really pushing this because you named your daughter Natasha."
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
My daughter was born while I was working on that script, and I went into Marvel for a meeting the day after she was born. I was showing pictures to Avi, and he said, Avi Arad used to own Marvel, and he said, "Oh, David, she's so beautiful. What is her name?" And I said, "She doesn't have one yet." He said, "What about Natasha? It's a beautiful name." And I took it back to my wife and said, Avi named her Natasha. So.
That's hysterical.
Do you ever accidentally call her Black Widow?
Oh, she does. She knows. She knows the story.
It had to be some kind of.
So,
well, let me.
I asked her. I'm like, "What's your full name?" And she says, "Natasha Loki Cody Hayter Black Widow."
Awesome.
So now let me ask you: did the Black Widow in your script at least have a Russian accent?
Well, no. She spoke fluent Russian, but by the time she gets to America, I mean, she's a flawless super spy. So
it's a straight origin story, basically.
I felt like she could get rid of her accent she can speak with a fully believable
right.
Yeah, that's the part of
American accent.
like the
that's
Americans.
about being a spy.
Now, now
No,
it
but
feels like
in the comic, she did have a sort of accent. They wrote her like as if she was speaking broken English a little bit.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, in which comic? I mean, I was introduced to her when she was with Daredevil, round about the Frank Miller run, and she was pretty American at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
That was kind of my jumping off point. But I did have her raised in Russia. The first part of the movie was all in Russian, and she was definitely a Russian girl. But I just felt if somebody's that good a spy, she'll disappear into America, and you wouldn't know she was Russian.
Right.
So, Dave, any chance for a Watchmen 2, man?
Everybody's dead. No, that's not. But Watchmen 2. Actually, it's funny you say because I got a brainstorm one night where I figured out how you could do Watchmen 2, and the first person I called was Alan Moore, and I was like, look, I know you're not into sequels or whatever, but just listen to this idea. And so I told him, and I was so thrilled, and he was like, yeah, no, I don't think so.
And what a buzzkill, Alan.
Yeah, man. Dude, that was such
and
a
he never
beautiful
spoke to
movie.
me again.
Well,
do we still have the caller online?
Yeah, no, Mohammed, you still have you can still ask Dave here a question.
Yeah, now it feels like they're afraid to do women lead superhero film like Wonder Woman or in other films, just not going on well with studios.
Yeah, I didn't get that either, Dave. David.
Well, what's the question?
I'm not sure. It was a jumble of...
Mohammed,
is that a statement?
Yeah, rephrase that a little bit if you could.
Yeah, I mean, they just can't do any women superhero films now.
Oh, female superhero. Yeah, I think it's hard for them to wrap their heads around female superheroes, and they haven't always been done well. I mean, I think Catwoman was...
Yeah, Catwoman killed it. Elektra killed it.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that took a lot of the impetus out. I mean, it's a shame because there's amazing female characters, but then like Elektra was not done well, and I don't know why that is, but I think there's a certain amount of institutional chauvinism that comes through in the development of these things. And I write a lot of female-centered stories, like The Storm or like The Sword and Black Widow, and I think women can be awesome and badass and sexy, and they can have the full package. And we tried to do that with the X-women, Mystique and Storm and Jean Grey and all those, and Rogue, try to make them all feel like real capable women and
Yep.
Sorry?
I said empowered.
Empowered. Well, empowered and real.
Yeah.
Where I think sometimes they either make them too cutesy or they try to make them, I don't know, girly, or they try to make them too much like men. And it's just hard, I think, for a male-dominated industry to properly realize badass superwomen.
Absolutely.
All right, you got one last call, Dave, before we're going to let you go here.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. You're on KMTD Geek Blast. What's your question for David Hayter? Okay.
All right, have a good one.
David, sorry about that, Dave, but that's that is live radio for you sometimes.
Now, Dave.
Of course.
Dave, for me, please, to help me and Brendan here, can you please write the Infinity Gauntlet and just make sure that becomes a motion picture for us? Because
sure.
Are you familiar with the Infinity Gauntlet?
Yeah, he knows.
I hate to say this because I am on Geek Radio, but I know the title, but I don't know what it is.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So this is we don't want him writing it then.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I would say
they could probably read it.
I could research.
Yeah, he likes to read. I would go pick up that graphic novel.
Yeah.
It's a great read. And
it was written in the early '90s. It is the best.
It is one of the best
Marvel
graphic
opinion,
novels, in my opinion. Yeah.
And is it its own story, or is it?
It's its own story.
An Infinity Gauntlet, or
well, it includes all the heroes, but it revolves around this one supervillain called Thanos,
the one that was introduced at the end of Avengers.
Yeah. I know.
Avengers, right?
It seems like they're gearing up to it. It's like somebody's going to do it eventually. You know what I mean? It's just you have to incorporate all these different worlds. Spider-Man, X-Men, everything.
Right. Well, that's that's really hard. I mean,
it is.
Because the X-Men are currently a license to Fox. Spider-Man is currently licensed to Sony. Marvel now is owned by Disney. It's very different. That's why you don't have a Spider-Man crossover with the Avengers yet.
Right.
I know, but I mean, I do know Kevin Feige, very well, and he is a genuine fan. Like I'm sure he was the one who wanted Thanos and to introduce him. So I know that he's behind pulling together the Avengers, doing these bigger multi-character films.
Right.
And so I would say that if there was any possible way to make something like the Infinity Gauntlet, Kevin will find a way to do it. But it is, it's complicated by these mass media companies and their various ownership.
All having rights to these pieces. They all got to come together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like Fox, like Marvel owns X-Men, but Fox has a deal wherein if they make a movie every 2-3 years, they keep it.
They keep it.
So they have to keep making. Like they just lost Daredevil because they were going to make another one to retain the rights, and then they killed it last minute, and it went back to Marvel.
Don't even.
They couldn't get Ben Affleck for the part.
Dave, let me ask you a question. What do you?
I can't even comment on that.
No, you can't comment. Okay, because I'm
still reeling.
Oh, okay. Then we're in the same boat.
We have a White House petition for you to sign if you'd like.
Yeah, check it out on our website.
About Batman.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
It's not real. But
it's real to some of us.
Ben, and I like him immensely. It's just, I don't know. Batman is sacred. So
Yeah.
That's all.
Daredevil was too, and look what happened.
Dave, we're going to do two.
I agree. I mean, Daredevil. I was Batman's probably my favorite of all time, but the Daredevil Frank Miller comics changed my life.
That was a travesty. Come on. I agree with you. They're Frank Miller is probably one of my favorite just writers in general when it comes to comics.
Oh yeah,
like his stuff is just legendary. A lot of it, all of it, in my opinion.
Well, not all of it, but most.
A good portion.
All right, Dave. You've been very gracious. We just want two last. No, we got to go. We're gonna have two last things for you here. One, we want you to quickly promote whatever it is you wanted to promote. Maybe you got to it already. Wolves and Devil's Mile.
Yeah, I think I've covered everything. Keep an eye out for Wolves next year, my directorial debut in The Devil's Mile, in which I beat a number of people to death with a tire iron.
Nice.
And what else? I'm in a video game called Republique, which is going to kick ass.
Cool.
And,
When do you think?
Thanks for continued support.
When do you think we'll be seeing the sword?
Well, hopefully soon. I mean, we're pretty far along with the script right now, and like I said, I just came from a meeting with the studio. They seem happy. So, we were talking about hopefully making it at the end of the year. That's not a full commitment yet, but that's what we're aiming for, is to be, shooting within the next few months.
All right, and one last thing, if you wouldn't mind indulging us, could you just do a show promo for us? Can you just say this is David Hayter and you're listening to KMDT Geek Blast?
KMDT Geek Blast.
Yes.
Do you want it David Hayter, or would you rather it be Solid Snake?
No, do David Hayter, because David Hayter is more transcendent than Snake himself.
Oh, well, it's very kind of you to say. All right, you ready?
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Hey guys, this is David Hayter, and you are listening to KMDT Geek Blast.
You got it, man.
Damn attention.
All right, David. Thank you very much. You were very gracious to give us this amount of time. I know it's not not your normal interview length time, but
Oh no. It's great, guys. I really appreciate it. Great questions, and just let me know anytime.
Best of luck to you, man. Good luck in everything you're doing, man.
And we're going to be waiting for Wolves.
Thanks.
And Sword.
Back at
All right, thanks.
Take
All right,
care.
guys.
Take care, Dave.
Thanks so much.
All right, guys. That was good show. Yeah, I know that was a workout there.
Yeah, it was.
And we're sorry to anybody that we didn't get to your call. It's
limited time.
It's a little sometimes it's a little disconcerting if the guy's in mid thought. If I answered your call and you could hear us through the phone, that means you were on. But some people hung up. Because they didn't want to wait. So anyway, we'll see you guys next week, and thank you Galactus for putting this on the top of comicbookmovie.com. And, guys, let's get out of here.
See you next week.
Hasta next Friday.
I'm Lord Vader and I get respect. Your planet and your life is what I expect. Cape on my back, cable box on my chest, leather pants on my death, hot oil on my breath. You'll be jealous of my boots, jealous of my gloves, jealous of my belt with my blinking lights. I'm the Dark Lord with the power to dismiss your people's skills like the Bantha piss. 1, 2, 3 into the 4. It's the Emperor coming through the door. Ready to make an entrance, so back on up. I'm about to blow some planets up. Yeah, you know I'm...